Coming to you from behind the lines in Washington State, local and national talk, news, and opinions. This is the Behind the Line podcast.
Be advised, we got zips in the wire down here.
Roger, last Bravo 6. Can't run it any closer. We'll have to try it back at Snake and Nape, but we're bingo fuel.
For the record, it's my call. Dump everything you've got left on my pause. I say again, expend all remaining in my perimeter.
So here's a little news. It's not getting a lot of play on the old MSM. This is from the Sun from June 22nd. U.S. forces are on high alert after Russian destroyers and fighter jets ventured within 35 miles of Hawaii in Moscow's biggest war games since the end of the Cold War. Around 20 Russian warships, submarines, support vessels, and 20 fighter jets took part in the military exercise. Russia's defense ministry said the drills took place some 300 miles off the coast of Hawaii. However, unconfirmed satellite images from June 19th appear to show them blowing up an aircraft carrier 35 nautical miles away from the U.S. state. This is the second time in a month the U.S. has scrambled F-22 fighter jets over Hawaii in response to Russian military activities in the Pacific. In both instances, the aircraft never entered the U.S. Air Defense Identification Zone. On June 17th, the Navy confirmed that USS Carl Vinson and USS Dewey Long, along with strike forces, were deployed near Hawaii to participate in integrated ops with the U.S. Army, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard, training to a variety of missions from long-range strikes to anti-submarine warfare. Moscow has released a video of its latest show of force in the Pacific. The clips show an unnamed Russian Navy submarine and a pair of Tu-142MZ Bear F-Mod 4 long-range anti-submarine aircraft operating from Yelizovo Air Base on the Kamchatka Peninsula, which were escorted by MiG-31BM Foxhound interceptors, the drive reported. It also showcased planes taking off and refueling in midair. The two units worked out the tasks of detecting, countering, and delivering missile strikes against an aircraft carrier strike group of a mock enemy, the Russian Ministry of Defense said. The fleet practiced anti-shipping strikes and drilled for anti-aircraft and anti-submarine missions, the ministry added. The Pentagon is keeping a close eye on the maneuvers. U.S. Indo-Pacific Command is monitoring the Russian vessels operating in international waters in the Western Pacific. U.S. Indo-Pacific Command spokesman Captain Mike Kafka told CBS News, "We operate in accordance with international law of the sea and in the air to ensure that all nations can do the same without fear or contest and in order to secure a free and open Indo-Pacific. As Russia operates within the region, it is expected to do so in accordance with international law," he added. During the drills, Russian Navy Tu-142 aircraft spent more than 14 hours in the air, covering around 6,200 miles. They were overseen by Russian Aerospace Forces Tu-78 Midas aerial refueling aircraft. Former Chief of the General Staff of the Russian Navy, Admiral Viktor Kravchenko, said no comparable exercises involving Russian military has taken place since 1991. Earlier this month, U.S. forces dispatched a number of USAF 22s to meet Russian jets in a military exercise not far off Hawaii. It comes after Russia released footage of its Dagger rocket and air defense missile system being unleashed from a nuclear-powered missile cruiser in the Bering Sea. Putin has this year ordered a succession of military exercises across Russia's 11 time zones amid the highest tension between East and West since the collapse of the Soviet Union 3 decades ago. The Russian military is also set to stage a new test of its deadly new Zircon hypersonic missiles. The Zircon, or Tsircon, is a 6,100 mile per hour unstoppable cruise missile that is on track to be used by the Russian military next year. This comes less than a week after U.S. President Joe Biden met with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, in Geneva for crunch talks. Putin and Biden discussed recent cyber attacks carried out on the U.S. by Russian-based hackers, Russian saber-rattling on the Ukrainian border, the imprisonment of Kremlin opponent Alexei Navalny, and Putin's support of Belarusian strongman Alexander Lukashenko. Well, isn't it interesting that Russia is flexing its muscles after their little meeting with Biden? And it hasn't been like this for years and years. And you're not seeing a whole lot of this on TV, mainstream news. And you got to wonder why they aren't talking about this. It should be concerning that they are doing this stuff so close to an American state. 35 miles, extremely dangerous situation. And I think it's obvious to the rest of the world that our country is the weakest it's ever been, and our military is probably the weakest it's ever been. You've got a commander-in-chief who's more concerned about transvestites and gays in the military than actually making sure our troops are up to snuff as far as training goes and being physically fit and able for battle. We are extremely weak, and you've got a president who can hardly make a coherent thought, and I can only imagine what that conversation was like between him and Putin. Biden just doesn't have any sense. Anyway, this is just one more thing to add to the list of everything going sideways in this country right now. I hope you are preparing. We're looking at inflation, we're looking at shortages in supplies and food, and now we're looking at existential threats from Russia and I would say China as well. So you should be preparing for that, and always good to prepare for the worst, and if it doesn't happen, then you're prepared for the next thing that comes down the line. Keep your head on a swivel, folks. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Behind the Line podcast. I hope you will subscribe to the channel so you can get regular updates, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, I hope you will also like it, share it, and subscribe on YouTube as well. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Anchor, Spreaker. We're on various other podcast platforms. And you can find me on LinkedIn under John Washington. Again, thank you for listening. We appreciate your support.